So you've competed for this faculty position through a long interview process where you have tried to convince your new department that you are the person that they should hire. The thing that you must understand as you move into that group is that you're entering a community that has a history. They have sometimes a shared philosophy, sometimes a disparate philosophy. There are aspects of happiness within the department. There's aspects of political baggage within the department. Your obligation to that group is to understand those aspects of the community, embrace it, try to learn it as best you can over the first several years of your appointment, and then find ways to make it better. That's what that community is looking for in you, and I think that's why they're investing in you as a young faculty member. One of the principal aspects of doing that successfully is to identify and begin a dialogue with a cohort of mentors that actually will help to provide advice to you on a whole number of different aspects, not the least of which is the political landscape within your department, how to institute a brand new lab, how to create excitement about your research and about your teaching in your new faculty position. Remember, this community is going to be the group of individuals who will sit in evaluation of you as you move through your career process, as you approach the tenure decision. So that's an important first component of developing the sense of a mentoring environment. The second is probably more important from my perspective, which is to be sure that you internalize that advice, that you find ways to use it to your advantage where you are mentorable. This is a reflection of how you are embracing your community and how well you'll be integrated within that community by virtue of your mentors. There are a couple of different kinds of mentors that you should be paying attention to. The first is your chair. Your chair is an important advocate for you as a young faculty member. However, remember that that chair also is an evaluative member. This is an evaluative mentor. This is an individual who actually gives you advice about your research portfolio, but also considers what your raise might be next year in terms of the quality of your work. And so there are aspects of that evaluation that you want to make sure that you keep track of relative to the information you gain from your chair. The second and probably more important aspect of your mentoring committee are individuals that are non-evaluative. That is to say that you can participate in mentoring dialogues with these individuals fully with the understanding that there's confidentiality and there's not an evaluative scenario that feeds back to the chair or the department in terms of discussions that you might have where you're discussing both the very good things that are happening to you and the negative things that are happening to you. These are the individuals that really should give you the core pieces of advice as you navigate the first several years of your appointment. The other component of that mentoring committee that I think is critical is that you reevaluate the composition of your mentoring committee on an annual basis. Don't be afraid to alter the composition of your mentoring committee to get the most out of it that you can. The last point I'd make in terms of your mentoring committee is that you need individuals who are willing to be professionally very, very honest with you in terms of the quality of your work, the innovation of your ideas, and the appropriateness, particularly of your grants and your papers that you're going to submit. Because if you don't have high, robust criticism at home, you're guaranteed to have high, robust criticism at study sections when you submit your grants. You need to fix those things at home within your mentoring community before you send them off to the National Institutes of Health for federal funding. One of the key features of self-sabotage for young faculty members is that they have not yet crystallized the ideas of what their research program should look like moving forward. This is a key feature as you begin your laboratory to have full understanding of exactly the kind of science you want to be known for. One of the things that I see as a detriment for many young faculty members is that they've not crystallized that vision of what it is their research program should look like, and they spend a lot of time in what I refer to as scientific wandering. following the really cool ideas from here to there that create too much breadth and not enough depth in the context of your research. And so staying focused on that is a key feature for the success, particularly early on in the development of your research plan. The other aspect that becomes extremely important and is a very difficult lesson to learn is how you visualize that research portfolio and learn to close it in the standpoint of a publishable unit. Finding the ability to find closure in your research program to publish an experimental unit or group of experiments becomes absolutely key. The key currency that we have as scientists is how we present our publications in a scholarly way. And you must do that in a way that has a level of productivity that will ensure your tenure success. As you consider the startup package that you've just received as a young faculty member, remember that this startup package is an investment of your entire department into you as a young faculty. That is to say that all of your colleagues within the department that are federally funded have contributed salary recovery and indirect cost recovery on their grants as a revenue source centrally in the department that now is used to provide your startup. And so everyone in the department has a keen investment in your success. Your department has an infrastructure that's very adept at accounting, and so you will have a solid understanding of what your, what I call burn rate is on your startup package over time. Startup packages are generally meant to provide a bridge for you for about the first 4 years of your faculty appointment, and it's very important from an accounting standpoint that you know exactly where you are in terms of that burn rate. Two key features are going to be very important in terms of that burn rate. One is how you use those resources to buy equipment, and the second is how you use those resources to select and pay for salaries on individuals that will work with you in the laboratory. So let's talk a minute about equipment. Large ticket items actually are an important consideration. If your plan is to, for example, purchase a high-end laser confocal microscope, that may cost you $250,000 to $350,000 out of your startup package. A key feature of that is to go back to the community and find stakeholders that may want to share that piece of equipment that also have resources to offset the cost of that piece of equipment, which is going to slow your burn rate. The university that you'll be a faculty member at, I'm certain, has a large number of core resources that include aspects of DNA sequencing, proteomics, bioinformatics, flow cytometry, and so forth. It's important to keep in mind that using those cores at your university probably will be on a fee-for-service basis, so you'll need to budget aspects of that. But that's much cheaper than actually buying the entire piece of equipment for yourself. So who do you search out and hire for getting your lab started? What you need right now is someone who will provide data for you in terms of your preliminary evidence for that grant you're thinking about. The second thing you need is someone who is unencumbered by coursework and milestone exams, say for a graduate student. You want someone in a technical realm that can come in and do a great deal of work to get you from experiment A to experiment Z to form that preliminary evidence that you need for the grant. So hiring technical help is an important first step in terms of getting your lab up and running. The second tier of salaries that you should consider is the graduate student. These are individuals that come very excited about the work that they're going to do, and so I lump that into a huge positive, which is the youthful exuberance that a graduate student might bring to a research environment. In most instances, graduate students aren't really fully productive for 2 to 3 years in the laboratory. So if you compare that in terms of your need for preliminary evidence with technical help, the technician is going to get you going much earlier, while the graduate student may take longer to develop, however, would bring high impact to the work that they do because they're invested in that work. The third potential trainee that you may be interested in hiring is the postdoctoral fellow. It's important to remember that the postdoc themselves are in your lab for two really important reasons. One is to learn something from you and extend your research program, but they're also highly interested in finding that niche for themselves to take that with them to their first faculty position. All three, technician, graduate student, and postdoc, all have tremendous merit in terms of how you move your research program forward. They all play a prominent role in your burn rate, in your startup package in terms of resources, and they're all very necessary in one capacity or another to push your research program forward as you consider your probationary period leading toward tenure. The last point I'd like to bring up is how you balance your career and professional development with your personal life. This is a balance that's very, very difficult for anyone in any aspect of a career path, but it's particularly challenging for the young assistant professor. What I think is really, really important, particularly to young faculty, is to find some element of balance that has nothing to do with your professional career. So go run or go walk to make sure that you stay healthy and you consider your wellness. Promise yourself you're going to do something different. Promise yourself you're going to develop a hobby. If you're unhappy at home, you're going to be unhappy in the workplace. And I think it's an important balance that you consider very, very carefully. And lastly, don't forget to be good to yourself. That's really important. I can tell you I never was and didn't do that until very late in my career, and I regret that component. So I appreciate your attention and wish you the best of luck in your new faculty position.